is the moment podcast fans around the world have been waiting for. Sponsored by Glovebox. It's time for the Cease and Desist podcast.
Cease and Desist Nation, we have the best episode prepared for you today. I'm not sure how this is going to go, fellas. What do you think is going to happen today?
It's going to be a 10.
Chaos.
Every time we mention mini horse, drink.
Okay, got it. Noted.
All right, we're going to set it up front. Every time we mention the word mini horse, you take a shot. And by the end of it, feel like you've been riding 5 mini horses.
Hope you're not driving. Hope you're not driving right now, folks. Now, this is the most anticipated episode in Cease and Desist history. I believe we've been waiting for this interview for quite a long time.
And you've probably been waiting for this since back at the agency days.
Let me tell you that story. Actually, we'll get into that in a minute. But first, I want to introduce none other than Mr. Bradley Flowers and Scott Howell from the Insurance Guys podcast. What's up, gentlemen?
What's up,
Bradley.
guys?
Bradley.
How y'all doing today?
Bradley.
You officially showed us up in the podcast studio decor for sure.
I mean, I don't know that buffalo behind you. I know that's not your podcast studio, but what are you working with back there? Describe your background for not everyone that can see right now.
So I have a I like colorful art that kind of pops. It's a colorful buffalo behind my head. The reason for the buffalo is when a storm rolls into the plains, instead of running away from the storm, the buffalo runs into the storm because it gets them through the storm the fastest. So not only does that speak to like business problems, hitting them head on, there's no business book in the world that doesn't mention doing the hardest problem first, the beginning of the day, but it being in insurance in South Alabama, we also literally deal with storms. We are in the time of the year right now in Alabama, and Scott can attest to this. Every day is Armageddon when it comes to weather. So
Yeah, it's storm season, right? I mean,
it is.
It's game time. It's tornado season.
And on the other end of the table, we got Mr. Scott Howell. Scott, love the background. Hey, who designed your artwork for Insurance Guys podcast?
I wondered that too.
My beautiful wife, Kim, designed the umbrella and she actually just did a painting. We had no artwork whatsoever. And when we started the podcast, I said, hey, could you design us something just like not really a logo, like a picture or something, Bradley, I could hang on our wall. And this is what she came up with.
I still have it.
Super freaking cool.
In my lobby.
What's the significance of the umbrella? Is that like the insurance industry just raining down on people, and then you guys are like the blanket?
I think it was kind of that traveler's umbrella coverage type thing. I don't know. I've never asked her. I need to ask her that question.
Nice.
I had a traveler's rep one time tell me my brand was off. I said,
Have you ever
logo is an umbrella.
Fucking
Did
amazing.
you ask him if he quoted a DP3 through their system? Because that was quite off.
That's all.
No, I don't have savers because I declined the appointment. But that's neither here nor there.
Well done.
That made me wish we had more stories in our office so I could jump off the roof. Like it literally took that. It was that blah blah blah.
Stop whining.
It was bad.
It was bad. It was
sucked,
terrible.
Man.
It was
took
awful.
forever. It was an anomaly.
Well, let's do this. I want to set the scene for a second. Why are we speaking to the Insurance Guys, and why are you our sponsor? Why are we the headline sponsor for the Insurance Guys? Main reason, you all have done an outstanding, and I mean this sincerely, an outstanding job of getting an audience built under your show. And I want to just congratulate you on 500,000 downloads. I mean, gosh, is there a show in the industry that has done that? I don't know. I don't believe so. I'd have to ask around. Do you guys know the answer to that question?
I don't know that there is an individual. Humbly, I don't know if there's an individual show that has done that.
Okay.
At least about a year ago, all of us started comparing downloads, and nobody had more all-time or monthly. So
Sure. What do you guys attribute that to? Like, how'd you get there?
Scott,
Fair enough.
you got to have that level of UFC, man.
Yeah, I think
WWE.
I've always said this about podcasts. Okay, guys. Number one, you got to entertain people.
Mm-hmm.
Got to entertain people. Nobody's wanting to listen to a podcast that's not entertaining for the most part, unless you're going to get specific information that somebody really wants or needs. then I guess you could do a QuickBooks podcast on how to use QuickBooks or Excel. And if somebody's wanting to go learn about those things, maybe there'd be a few people watch that. So the first thing is to entertain. And what I like to do is I think of it as WWE wrestling, where my life is so crazy that I have this endless amount of thousands and thousands and thousands of stories that I can tell that are true stories, but they're the kind of stories that when people hear them, they're like, there's no way that's real. That can't have happened to him. That's impossible. And Bradley will follow me up and be like, no, that really happened. I know that for a fact. You've got the WWE part of that, and then entertainment. The second piece is consistency. The guys that we see that have podcasts in the industry that we've either caught up to or passed have all taken a break. You take a break for a month or two with your podcast at Glovebox because y'all are all busy or something happens or a tragedy happens.
Sean's
and you're like,
getting
hey,
a
we just
haircut.
can't podcast this week. Next thing you know, you start back up again. Well, where you did have 5,000, 6,000 downloads a month, now you've only got 2,000 because people have now moved on to something else, right? So that's the second part of it. And then I do think there has to be some level of education that goes on, and the people that are tuned in or listening, whether that is self-help through somebody like a Lewis Howes, or there's a million self-help podcasts out there. The one exception to that rule happens to be the most popular podcasts in the world are comedy podcasts.
Sure.
Yep. Because
people
like
look for an escape. They
like
want to hear Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura on Two Bears, One Cave, or The Fighter and the Kid, or something like that. And those podcasts do really, really well if you have kind of these two juggernauts in comedy going back and forth with each other for an hour or two. And I listen to some of that stuff too.
Well, on that note, so I think part of the reason why these comedians, it seems like every comedian has a podcast now, right?
Yep.
Everybody saw Rogan get 100 mil and they're like, oh yeah, if we could do 1% of that, we'd be doing pretty good.
Right.
I think when I love it when I hear Rogan or Andrew Schultz is somebody I'm big on right now, talk about current events. I don't watch the news. So I'm getting my news from what's going on in the world from these podcasts, but these comedians are so vulnerable. It's like they're everyday people like us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm getting the point of view from someone who's thinking not only from an every man or every woman standpoint, but they're also funny.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually one of the things that we have is that Scott and I don't pretend to be something that we're not. Like, we are just everyday insurance agents, just like these agents are. One of the biggest compliments we get sometimes is like, I love how you guys don't act like you know everything. You know what I mean? It's very,
we don't.
It's very down home, down to, I think that's kind of a big piece of it, is we're approaching these same problems that all these agents are. And that's not necessarily saying other podcasts aren't, but I think that's a piece of it too, But I mean, the longest break Scott and I have taken is 1 week.
Yeah.
I think we missed
right
1
when
week
you had your
2
baby,
times.
right?
So
I think the hardest part,
and let me say this: the fourth piece of that pie, if there could be a fourth leg of the stool, is great guests.
that's what I was going to say. The hardest part of podcasting
having
is
people
getting
on
guests
that are energetic and excited, or maybe they just got great information, or information that like you just want to hear. I mean, that's one of the things Joe Rogan does. Is he's a little bit of all this. He's entertainment. He's obviously consistent. The sumbitch does about 4 podcasts a day.
Yeah.
Education. He's educating people, but he also
by the
has
way,
great
shoot me in the
guests.
head before I do 4 podcasts a day. Sure. Well,
Unless you
I'll
got
give
a
you
drink.
3 hours.
Yeah, unless you're making 100 mil from Spotify.
We put a lot of thought into guests, not only who the guest is, what they're going to talk about, but the timing of that too. If I see another podcast, this actually happened. We interviewed with a carrier CEO, and I saw another podcast launched, posted an and we held the episode. Like, I don't want to steal their thunder either, but I don't want the listener to feel like, God, it's like, you go on Good Morning America and you see
circuit.
Colin Powell promoting a book, and then you go to ABC and he's promoting a book. It's like you see this, you don't want to do
That's
that.
the circuit.
But I'll give you a funny example. Somebody came up to me at the One City World Tour, which was the event we hosted with you guys, and somebody said, man, this is like the best, most valuable lineup of speakers I've seen at an insurance conference. And not only that, these people are approachable and they're really good people. And I said, you know why? And they said, why? I said, because me and Andy picked them. And I'm like, seriously, like it's like, are you going to provide value, and are you not an asshole?
My thing is being authentic. Being authentic is very important. If you're just out there faking it, like just putting on a show, that's not going to help. Like, I want to reveal the real you. Example, I went on stage and was at the Better Agency conference last week, and I started cussing.
I heard you crushed it, by the way.
Well, thanks, man. It was actually the second time I've been in a setting like that, minus the One City World Tour, so those two pieces together. But honestly, I got up there and started cussing as part of my presentation. It helped me be more authentic. It helped me kind of come out of my own.
How many F-bombs did you say?
Adam said he counted 7. And I was feeling it. Like, I felt good about it, and the energy
I felt good about the number.
I'm telling you, man.
No more, no less.
Next time we're there, we're doing the Fs instead of the Ks, like strikeouts. We're just gonna put them in the back of the room. Yeah. We're gonna hang them up. If we can get to 13 Fs, I think that might be a record. But to your guys' point, the hardest part I think of having a podcast is finding guests that are unique and different and bring a different flavor, because you can't always just talk about insurance, because insurance is not just insurance. It's marketing, it's branding, it's building, it's motivation, it's mentorship. There's a lot that goes into it. And
I love bringing people on who are not insurance people. Like, we interviewed a guy named Panini Pete, who's a pretty famous chef who's based out of Mobile.
He sounds
been
like
on
a
the Food
chef.
Network a ton. He's best friends with the guy Fiore. I don't know if I said that name right, but you know who I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. But we take that message and relay it. This is how you can use it in your business, because you can get, outside perspective sometimes is the best perspective you can get on your business, because there's things that we do in this industry because we've always done them that way, but it really doesn't make good business sense,
Yeah.
A lot of what you guys are saying,
like not integrating with Glovebox if you're a carrier. Come on.
there it is. We did it.
End the episode.
We'll see you guys later.
Bad decisions right
Can
there.
I say a name?
That's just bad decisions.
You can do whatever you want.
This is the Cease and Desist podcast.
Come on, Erie.
Hey, Erie, what's going on? It's a little bit eerie out there.
What you guys are saying about the podcast.
They won't listen to this because it's not on tape. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
What you guys are saying about the podcast.
And you can edit that out if you want to. I'm sorry.
No, that's
staying consistent, being so big, and then bringing some sort of value so that the person is, enjoys coming there, is really no different than any other business. When we were getting referral relationships in the industry, it was staying consistent on dropping in, sending a Monday email. Nothing's changed here when we're reaching out to new agencies. It's staying consistent, dropping them a line, sending them something of value, and then when the time is right, you kind of slip in. So, to your point, Bradley, having someone that's not even in the insurance space on all these principles of business, and to what you said, Ryan, they all apply all around.
Yeah.
We just happen to be
because you can
insurance.
use all that stuff in every aspect of your life, not just building an insurance business. It's applicable in your relationships, both professionally and personally. It's raising your children and how you operate. I mean, everybody needs those perspectives outside of just running their agency, because it all feeds back into the business.
Is like, if you're consistent and not doing anything illegal, like, I'll take that over somebody that's insanely talented.
Sure.
Because if you take the guy or the gal that's like, yeah, I'm going to make some sales calls, but I'm only going to do it sparingly. If it's not working, they have no barometer to know that what they're doing, it's them. You know what I'm saying? Versus a guy or the gal who's going to chop the tree down every day. I equate it to chopping a tree down with a hatchet. If you're going to chop the tree down like over and over and over and over and over, even if you suck, eventually you're going to realize that you suck.
Yeah.
You pair that
can make
consistency-
adjustments in real time. So that consistency is most important. I listened to an episode we did the other day, and it was completely different, dude. It was two different people, because we've refined it over time.
Wow.
Scott's intro has gotten so freaking good.
I didn't know it could get better.
Not that it was bad at the
We
beginning,
tried to
but
do
it's a process, It ages like fine wine,
By the way, I gotta ask you,
It's like
Scott.
milk,
Scott,
So
I got
to Bradley's point and to you guys' point, I want to say something to everybody listening to this right now. And it was something that I told my team this morning on our 10 a.m. podcast. So I was up this morning at 4:00. I've either got a stomach bug or food poisoning. I don't know which I have, but I was on the toilet and I could shit through a screen door.
Was it Panini Pete's? I hope it wasn't Panini Pete's.
I can't wait for that chapter of the book, the coffee table book.
I'm on the toilet and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I got all this stuff to do today. I got staff meeting at 10, podcast at 3:30. I got 12 different accounts I'm working on. I got people coming to see me today into the office. And something in my mind, I just was sitting there and I was thinking, I've got to show up. I've got to show up. And I think in my mind, that's about 90% of business is on those days when you are at your worst. And I'm not at my worst today, but I'm certainly not at 100%. You just got to show up.
Right. Well, it's it's not hard to be consistent. It's actually pretty easy. And I think that's what people think is the problem. Like, it's too easy. It can't be that easy. It is that easy. Just go do it every single day.
Well, I'll say this. I'm an introvert. When I get off this, I'm not going to say anything to anybody for like the next 4 hours. I've got to recharge. I rely on Scott so much to be the energy. You know what I mean? Like our relationship is like perfect because there's some times where I can be up and there's it plays into the consistency, the fact that he's so energetic and into it and fiery and good at it, that if there's an episode where I am not feeling my best, I can just kind of like sink back into my chair and interject. And the flip side is we were interviewing somebody last week and Scott's like, hey, I'm gonna need you to take this, like that partnership. And I was talking to an agent right before this call, David Foster, shout out to David Foster.
I know that guy.
And he mentioned that he has a business partner. I was like, and we were talking about creating content. I was like, dude, businesses with business partners have a huge advantage because you can play off of each other. And there's also strength in numbers. If we're out on the city street and we're making a wacky video and there's two of us, it's a different dynamic than if it's just me sitting there talking to a camera. You know what I mean? Right. So Scott, I couldn't do it without our podcast would not be remotely as successful without Scott and his talent. So I definitely owe a lot to him. And there's times where he pushes me like, hey, like Scott's really like, honestly, if it wasn't for Scott, I don't know that we would be as consistent because there's times where he's like, hey, we got to get episode out. We got to get episode out. We got to get episode out. Whereas I'm like, I've got 18 million other things going on,
I appreciate you saying that, Bradley. It means a lot to me, but I'll say the other thing that may be the reason why we've been so successful with our podcast. And I've been surprised. I don't see this very often in the insurance industry. And I think to some degree, Bradley's this way, but I am so out there in terms of vulnerability that I think a lot of agents that I know that podcast, you can just tell because of some self-esteem issues that maybe they have, they're not willing to hang it out there. I will hang it out there, cry, tell you all the stuff I've done wrong, tell you the stuff I'm currently doing wrong. And I think a lot of that has to go along with self-esteem and things from your childhood. And, you hear all the good and the glowy, and we're writing $1 million a month in premium and we never have a claim and nothing
half of
ever
it
goes
canceled
wrong.
Next month.
There's never anything that we never have an employee that ever, does anything wrong. And they don't say that, but that's just kind of the feeling you
And by
get.
the way, the agents that are doing that online, it's glaringly obvious to everybody else who's like, it's not like you're not fooling anybody.
Or they're spending all of their time podcasting and not writing any business. Because we also see that.
Exactly.
That's just
I think me being so willing to just tell everybody all the stuff that's just not right.
I'll give you the biggest compliment in the world on that, can I?
Yeah, I guess.
So,
sure.
I don't know that we want to get into this,
You wake
but
up in the
Scott
morning
had an
and you piss
employee that
excellence.
did something super illegal and stole some money from him.
Crazy episode, by the way.
The next day, gets on a podcast and says, not only this is what happened, but it's my fault. I can guarantee you the number of insurance agents in this country who would be willing to do that is less than 2. And I'm not one of them.
Did you guys hear that episode?
It wouldn't have been the next. Like you're getting the real deal Holyfield. This is what, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, we found out Scott needs a new screen door.
More power to you in that regard.
What about having an insurance podcast where they only talk about things they did wrong? I quoted that deal wrong.
Probably would be the most listened to podcast in the insurance industry.
Sounds like a pivot.
We've talked about it
insurance
before.
guys are pivoting.
Sean, you've openly talked about your commercial stint and how like you had no clue what you were covering.
Oh, yeah.
Like you couldn't tell people what D&O insurance was.
Still
or like
can't.
you would have clients calling for claims and you were praying you put the right address on the quote. Like I'm really hoping that 8 was a 7 like on that policy.
Yeah, it's easy to mess up.
Hey, Scott, I do have something for you. Your famous introduction to the Insurance Guys podcast, was that scripted or was that impromptu? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I've never told this story before. It's one I've kind of held back on, but
insurance agents from around the world.
Yeah, this is going to be a very unique story for this podcast. But basically, what I did is I grew up listening to comedians, their rhythm, their pace, the way they did things, and then I got into this thing where I was obsessed with Jerry Clower and him being a storyteller and his pace and his rhythm and the way he did his storytelling. And so I've always studied that my whole life. And then when we got ready to start the Insurance Guys podcast, and I go back to my statement about the WWE and them coming out of the tunnel or whatever they come out of to go to the ring. And I thought, well, I can't do the Bruce Buffer thing.
We took that.
It's too much for me to do. And so then I started picking things out of different people that I thought had done a good job. So a lot of times you'll hear me, I sound a little bit like Keith Jackson, the old football broadcaster. You remember Keith Jackson used to talk like this, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So because, he's kind of noted as being the number one college broadcaster of football of all time, Keith Jackson. And then there was some other people that I started pulling some things from. And so I sit down with a piece of paper and I think, okay, I want to do Keith Jackson for this a little bit, sound a little bit like that. Then I also wanted to, there was 3 or 4 people that I had kind of just blended together to come up with that introduction.
Well, it's pretty fucking cool. I love that.
You want to hear something funnier, cooler is like, I didn't know he was going to do it.
Yeah.
That's like a bomb.
We sit down for the first podcast.
Okay. How was the first one? I'm going to have to go listen to the first episode. Was the first one just as good as it is today?
No.
Scott, were you one take Tammy too?
One take Tammy.
Oh yeah.
I will tell you this, to the point I was just making about me kind of taking things from different people to get to our. So at the very end of every introduction that I do for our guest, I always say, "It is my profound honor today."
Yeah.
I took that from something like the Academy Awards, and I believe it was Russell Crowe. It was who was the guy that played the agent on like the show 24?
Oh,
you remember that?
Sutherland.
Yeah,
it was
Kiefer.
Talker.
Oh crap! I know that guy's name.
But I can see his face, but
he was also in
Designated
Survivor.
It's Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, that guy
Sutherland's son
got up at an award show. And he was introducing somebody as like going into some kind of
Sutherland
thing. Kiefer Sutherland.
I knew he had a weird name.
And he said,
"You guys must not have heard that. We said that like 5 times."
It is my profound honor to introduce blah 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 blah. And I really like that. And so I took that and input it into the opening. So sorry, I didn't mean to get off on
he used to do it. Sometimes he does it when we're in the studio so loud that he has to do it again because it blows the mics down.
Not surprised.
I bet he does it in his sleep sometimes.
Like you got to do it again, and we need it. Like it's got to be,
I want to switch gears a little bit because you guys are always the ones interviewing other people, and we want to dive into you if that works. I want to see what's going on with
Ryan,
the insurance guy.
Before they do that, can I get Scott to do one powered by?
I thought you were going to take your shirt off for this.
You want me to?
I don't want
maybe
you
Scott
to,
and I
maybe
do both.
Somebody wants you to. I don't know.
Somebody rip their sleeves off.
Scott, I need you to do one take powered by Glovebox. Come on, get in there. Get in there.
Welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. Powered by Glovebox.
Easy. He's got
God, I love Glovebox.
He's got diarrhea today, so easy.
Guys, you know what doesn't make sense to me? When I come across agencies that have their websites available to new prospects only, they don't really offer anything for their current clients. Or if they do, it's this silly little button that says, "Hey, what's your damn username?" I don't know. How would I know it's my usernames and passwords? I can't stand anymore. Thoughts?
I'm with you.
They're the worst.
Brutal. That's why Glovebox should be the answer. If you are an agency and you need a client portal that's going to be way better than what you currently have, give your clients the option to just use their phone number or their email and get into their Glovebox.
You know how it's not going to be better than what they already have?
Tell me.
If they already have Glovebox.
I
Think about it.
Now, I want to dig into you guys real quick because I don't think a lot of people get to know you guys as
Humans?
people outside of insurance, outside of the podcast. And so, Scott, I want to start with you, and I want to talk about the journey that you've taken to have mini horses at your house.
Mini stallions, even.
Mini stallion. Well, that was your nickname in college, wasn't it? The mini stallion. The mini horses and how that came about.
You want to start back at the start, or do you want me to start with the mini horses?
I want to start at the start. I want to start at the start and then get me to the mini horses.
Is there a mini Kentucky Derby?
No, I don't think so.
Get in
There
the
should be.
passenger seat of Ryan's DeLorean. Take us up.
Yeah,
There it is, there it is,
I want to be in
Bradley.
the stagecoach hitched to these mini horses.
Man, my journey in insurance was crazy. It was something that, looking back on it, there was a book written by Dr. Phil years ago talking about if you want to find what your purpose is in life and what you need to be doing, go back to your childhood and think about what you enjoy doing and the things that you were good at and things like that in your childhood, and kind of bring it up to today. And I had to file for bankruptcy in 2009. I was supposed to be retired right now, guys. I was supposed to be in the Keys, retired, $50-60 million in my bank account, just living the dream, fishing every day and being done. And I had to, because of the mortgage crisis, all the developments and things I was a part of that we were doing really well with at the time. But then the mortgage crisis hit. Nobody could borrow money to buy a house, and all of that kind of came to roost.
Wow.
I had to file for bankruptcy.
Wow.
I worked for a pretty large development and construction company, and we had pro rata. I was a member of some of the partnerships that we were doing on some of these developments. A lot of them were in college towns, big university towns. And so I had to file for bankruptcy, and I started thinking about like what I had to start over. I mean, I was, had no money, borrowed $3,000 from my sister to like pay rent one month. And I started thinking about my childhood and things that people had said to me over the years. And there were multiple times throughout my life leading up to then when people would say to me, "Scott, you were really missing your calling not being in insurance. So many people, you're outgoing, you never meet a stranger, you would be so good at it." And so I, through the course of like self-awareness, learning about myself, I decided that my career move was going to be in insurance. And nobody would give me a job. I interviewed with probably 10 or 15 agencies. I didn't even have my license. And they just all were like, "Nah, we're good. You pat me on the head, go get your license, come back and see us." So I did get my license, and I went with a State Farm agency in Birmingham, and he had just gotten his license. So neither one of us knew what the hell we were doing at all. Nothing about what we were doing. And I worked with him for about a year and a half, and then Nationwide offered me a position as a scratch agent in Huntsville, Alabama. Moved up to Huntsville and took that position, ended up taking over a book of business after about 3 years from a lady that got fired. She had gotten to the point in her career where she would take a pistol out of the top dress drawer when somebody'd come in to make payment. She'd lay it on the table. and she'd say, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
Wow.
That's what I'm thinking.
The glove
What the
box
fuck are you
app is a
doing here?
better way,
animal
guys. Just
saleswoman.
so you know, that is a better
God,
way.
that's a
Pull the
little
pistol out.
that's a little too much posture, you know.
Wow.
So you can imagine from that story what her book of business was like.
Wow.
You can. That just gives you a little.
She probably
written
had people
sampler of
stealing
what her
checks
book
out of
was
her
like.
desk. Guys,
She
probably
would
what
really
happened.
benefit from glove box, is what you're saying.
She threatened to kill me.
Yes.
Jeez.
So my business partner,
This is on one.
this is a true story. If you ever meet him, in fact, I can call him in here and he can verify this. He was in Columbus, Ohio, training to be an agent with Nationwide. He comes back to my office, our office here on Airport Road, right down the street. He walks in the door, and there's a police officer sitting there. And he says, walks in the mall, "Why is there a cop sitting here?" And I said, "Oh, she threatened to kill me, and they think she might actually do it. So they've got him here for a month."
Wow. Incredible.
So every time I would come to the office and unlock the door, there would be the police officer sitting in his car, and he would come in there and sit in the lobby for about 4
Jeez.
weeks.
I know that you actually said that calm too, like it was no big deal. Oh yeah, she's threatening to kill me.
Just another Tuesday.
She'll probably do it. Let me finish this auto application.
Yeah, it'd be so nice if she would.
Scott, let me ask you, in your early days of just getting into insurance and maybe that first couple years, how many days did you have that lingering thought of like, what the fuck am I doing in this business?
Every day.
Because everybody goes through that. At least the first year, they're like,
day.
what am I doing here?
I still have those days. I mean, the last 3 weeks has been an up at dawn, pride swallowing siege that I hope nobody ever has to go through.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I've worked every night till 7 or 8 o'clock. I've been here at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting here right now. I got reams of paper of accounts I'm having to go over to make sure there was any fraudulent activity on those accounts. So.
And you're operating the business owner side right now, but in those early days when you're just a producer and you're new to the business and you're like, what am I doing here? Like everybody that started in the business can relate to those moments, right? Because they happen all the time. Did you have someone helping you through, saying like, "Hey man, like keep going"? Because
they threatened to fire me. In fact, I've always wanted to, if I can find it again. I've got 2 or 3 letters from my sales manager with Nationwide that says, basically it says, if you don't reach this many policies by the end of April 2012, your contract will be terminated and you'll need to go find another job.
Wow.
I mean, there are lots of those things.
Sean's brother had a similar story. Remember when we brought your brother in?
Yeah, yeah.
And
he came in, and I told him to just put your head down and market. Don't worry about any production for 6 months. Just market, just get leads, just get referral partners, and his production was pretty much nothing for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then
our business
mine was
wanted to
made
fire
worse by the fact that my sales manager wanted me to die of anal cancer.
Is that a hard way to die?
There has never been a person hate someone as much as my sales manager hated me. So
that is
about
wild.
how that went.
There's one way to motivate
free
your
spirited
staff.
don't like people who are free spirits.
God, she hated
Well
my
said.
guts.
More so than people who are free spirited don't like people that are not free spirited. So
Yeah, I would agree
So
with
Scott,
that.
what do you attribute?
it probably just grinded her gears so much that you were so like confident in yourself and just rolled with the punch. You know what I mean? Like
I think what she didn't
especially
like-
at that level, they want the guy to say, "Oh, it's the sales manager. I've got to sit down and I've got my pleated khakis and are they Starks right today? And I've called my 50 people and that sort of thing." You know, that's what they want. They don't want somebody like you who's actually going to get it done.
Well, I think more than that, it was like I would say things to her like, "I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Like, what are you talking about?"
what do you mean
Or
liability?
we'd be in like a class of 30 or 40 agents, most of whom have been in the business a long time. And I'd raise my hand and be like, "I don't understand what you're saying," to like the product people.
Yeah.
And I mean, she would just turn like black red, want to kill me.
She
But,
wanted to make
yeah.
sure that you got her to the company cruise, and that's really all that mattered. She wanted to make sure that when August came and that cruise came to the Bahamas, that she was going to be on that ship. That's what she cared
She
about.
would
She
also
got her bonus.
Mhm.
She would also be one of those people, Bradley, that probably tells anybody she runs into in the industry that she taught me everything I know.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I've got one of those too. I've
Should we
got
have
one of
her on
those
the
too.
podcast?
Oh my God,
And
He'll
ask
say
her?
it to my face.
She sounds like it. And
I had a sales manager one time, different guy, that told me that I think it was my khakis weren't ironed good enough, and said you either got to go home or you got to go buy some pants. And I lived an hour from the office, so I had to go buy some pants. And so, and he was of the opinion that you could not sell insurance unless you were in a 3-piece suit. And
wow,
I thought you were going to cut them into shorts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You should cut them into really short khaki
so
shorts.
when we started Portal, it was like, we're doing jeans and t-shirts every day because I want to prove to everybody you can write several millions of dollars a year in insurance wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And I haven't worn anything but jeans the last 3 years until Portal. We're all about culture. We're about to implement Khaki Fridays.
Ooh,
we all wear
you guys are getting dressed
Fridays,
up on
where
Fridays.
Most agencies wear jeans on Friday. We're wearing khakis on Fridays to kind of poke fun at all the stale male and pale agencies.
We've been thinking about doing something
See,
in our office.
I prefer sweatpants, solo sweatsuits.
So, have you guys seen the WeWork show yet? On it's on Apple.
It's a really good show. Yes.
Did you see the scene where, in the middle of the day, he goes, "Hey, you guys keep boring yourselves," and they throw on the Harlem Shake in the middle of the office, and they all put on animal masks and start dancing around for like 2.5 minutes, and then it just shuts off and everybody goes back to work?
I have not seen that.
We're thinking about implementing that exact same strategy at our office.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
I'm excited about it.
It might be one of our core values.
I think it's a true culture builder. And even if you're on a demo or a customer support call, you have to stop what you're doing because 2.5 minutes of the Harlem Shake blasting in our office. So I think we are going to adopt that.
When we went
strategy.
you remember the 1:37 p.m. Scott at VaynerMedia?
Yeah.
When we went to Gary V's office, Gary Vee has a company called 1:37 p.m. And the reason it's that is because they drop a video every day at 1:37 p.m. And when they do that, an alarm goes off and everybody like woo, celebrates and sits back down and gets back to what they're doing. I thought that was kind of neat.
It's kind of a nice break in the day. I kind of like that, when you're running a business. But Scott, you're super humble, man. But you've obviously achieved a level of success that you never talk about. You're super humble about your business. But again, you have some delightful mini horses at your house. And how did you achieve the success or to the level of success where you can get those beautiful creatures at your house is what I wanted to get
to. No, those are my wife. She's a lot of things kind of go back to your childhood, right? And, she grew up in a small trailer right down the street from where we live right now in the middle of nowhere. And she always wanted to have a pony. She always wanted to have a mini horse.
Who doesn't?
And of course, her parents couldn't afford that, right? I mean, you know how things just work out in life, and so now she can afford it, and she ain't never met a mini horse she doesn't like, and so we've got 3 right now, about to sell one of those, but yeah, I think it's just one of those things where most people don't understand what a huge responsibility a dog is, a puppy dog, and when you own more what I call farm animals, ranch animals, they're a lot easier to take care of because they're not in the house and you don't have to give them a bath all the time, and you just feed them and keep some water out there for them, and you can just watch them and go out there and love on them, and they're not nearly as much trouble as dogs and cats are.
Well, Ryan has some chickens. Can you give us that perspective?
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass.
And you got some rabbits.
We've got some rabbits. I have 2 very healthy, very fluffy rabbits. If anybody would like them, so they fell off Santa's sleigh, and we're trying to get.
I have a suburbia. I have a snake at the house, so yeah, we'll take the.
I may gift them to our top salespeople of the month. Like, hey, congratulations on your amazing month. Here's 2 fluffy rabbits, and they're brothers, so they come together. Yeah.
Bradley, you talked about culture, and I love that. I love the way you're doing your office, and Scott, sounds like you might be doing something similar as far as just like letting people be adults and let people kind of figure out how they're going to be successful. You kind of lead them to water, let them ride. So we try and emulate that same process over here, which we weren't able to do as much at our agency. So I love and appreciate that you guys do that there. Bradley, talk about Portal for a minute. And some of and your benefits that you provide and some of the things that you do to recruit, and is a little unique, and not to give away the secret sauce and what you do at Portable, kind of like what you do that stands out to people that other people can emulate.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, everybody likes to be like, oh yeah, we have a good culture. And what they mean by that is we have a foosball table and cereal in the office.
Right.
And that's like, that's not culture. You know what I mean? I think the ethos of our culture is a lot, like you said, allowing people to be adults, make their own decisions and be themselves, and then have the freedom to handle things that come up in life. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a dentist appointment at 3:00, by God, go to the dentist appointment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the, like, one example I give is I remember when COVID first happened, agency owners were posting on Facebook in Facebook groups and saying, like, how do I ensure, or no, excuse me, back up. What program is everybody using for people to clock in and clock out so I can ensure that they are working from home? Like, wow. They're working from home. They're going to do laundry on the clock. Like, are they getting their job done? And are they a good person? And are they a good teammate? Those should be the only 3 barometers for success. That's it. Yep. Are you getting your job done? Yep. If you can get your job done in one day and you want to take the other 29 days off, by God, get after it. I don't care. Yep. You know what I mean? So I forgot the question, but that's kind of how I feel about that, you know? And we're a startup, man. Like, we have to, like, I can't pay a CSR $60,000 a year. I just can't do it. Right. We interviewed a young lady that was working at an agency, that was making $57,000 a year doing a job that my VAs do for us. Right. And, I couldn't have paid her that much, and she was going to get an elevated position here. She would have taken the job if we would have offered it to her. So we didn't offer the job. Our competitive advantage is our culture. And, you know, we do a lot of things. We have I don't offer a group health plan because I'm too small. Alabama, it gets real weird with group health plans if you've only got a few employees. So we do a health insurance stipend. I pay a percent, but that is that out the window. You know, we do a student loan repayment program,
which I love.
So if you have student loans, we will pay 50% of your student loan monthly payment up to $200 a month, I think is what it is. We have unlimited PTO. We have parameters. People, you know, the establishment here is unlimited PTO, and they think we just let people willy-nilly do whatever they want to do. No, there's parameters to that. You have to pair that with accountability. You have to pair that with, are you getting your job done? Are you following our process for putting in for time off, which is a week in advance? We have a form they fill it out on. And then, are you leaving anybody else hanging? Because if somebody else is off and you work in that same department, it's not, you know what I mean? Yeah. But so we have these little things we do like that. And then, like, beyond that, it's, you know, caring about people. You know, I work for my people, not the other way around. You know, other people have said that, but just caring about them as a person above and beyond just, are you getting, you know, are you working the correct amount of hours this month, or that sort of thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's tough, dude. Like, managing people is tough. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I have a saying I always tell folks, and it is that you don't hire people and then motivate them. Mm-hmm. You have to hire self-motivated people and then train them, because I don't know if you could work here in this environment that we have, as fast-paced as we are and as hard as we're all pulling the rope. I think it shows itself pretty early on if you come in here and you're lazy as hell and you don't want to do what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You're not going to so it helps if you hire self-motivated people. You don't have to do a lot of rope pulling.
Mm-mm. We put a huge emphasis, as does Scott, in personality assessments. Scott and I both give the same personality assessment. It returns us 68 pages. We know things about you that you don't know. It's not cheap, but we put a heavy emphasis in that. And kind of what sold me on it is we had a young lady we interviewed who was applying for a technical / executive assistant role. And she was perfect, like good family, very polished, right out of high school, going directly into the work environment. or the workforce. So from a payroll standpoint, that fits really well with startup. She seemed to be the kind of person that would fit in. I sent her personality assessment to the consultant that administers it, and she's like, do not hire this person. If you hire this person, we are not working together anymore.
Wow.
Jeez.
And I'm like, okay, hang on a second. I'm like, well, is there another role she's better suited for? Because like, she seems like a great person, like, you know, and she said, unless you're starting an Instagram modeling agency, do not hire this person. This person has the personality of a model. She will not fit in. She'll not be a hard worker. She's going to put her personal life and her other stuff over her job and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, you don't know. I didn't say this. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to interview her anyway. So I scheduled the in-person interview. This was I talked to the consultant on Tuesday. The in-person interview was on a Monday. She texted me on a Friday and was like, hey, Bradley, I'm going to Old Hickory Lake with some friends, which if you guys don't know, in the South, Old Hickory Lake is where all the Instagram models go to like take photos in their thong bathing suits and that sort of thing. And I'm going to Old Hickory Lake on Saturday, and I'm not going to be back till Tuesday, so I won't be able to make her interview. I'm like,
and there you go.
Right. You know, so we put a ton of emphasis, like that personality assessment has kicked more people out of our hiring process than anything else. Well, if you make it through the personality assessment, as long as you show up clothed and sober to the next interview, you pretty much got the job.
And Bradley, you're an entrepreneur for sure. Like you're not just insurance.
I'm not an insurance agent.
There you go. Like you're a true entrepreneur. How did you choose insurance as one of your vehicles? And how did you branch off into marketing and branding and every other thing that you do? I mean, you're a true entrepreneur at heart.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So I grew up, I was a golfer. I don't really golf anymore except on VR. And I grew up a golfer. All the people I knew who got to play the most golf were insurance agents.
I
told my dad when I was 16, I was like, I want to get an insurance. I don't know why these guys are able to play so much golf, but they are. And I think there may be something there. And what it was a residual income. That's what allowed them to do that. Right. Now, some of those guys are like, probably not like the best insurance agents, but that's another story.
But they're good at golf.
They so that's what kind of got me interested in insurance, but I didn't do it. And then in college, I worked at a cell phone store, which was Southern Link Beat Radios, which is like a two-way radio that farmers used. And a buddy of mine, who is the guy that Scott that says he trained me and taught me everything he knows, even though he's not in the business anymore. He recruited me to come to work for Liberty National, and that's kind of what got me in the industry. Initially, it was not only the story I told you, but the fact that I felt like a professional. Like I love putting my sport coat on and like we're having real conversations with people, not, you know what I mean? And so so there was that, and then from there, obviously I grew up really fast and had a kid. And then it became just like a mechanism to pay the bills, right? And then I discovered marketing when I was at Alpha, which was the captive company I was at 6 years before I started Portal. And it was simply the fact that my competition was doing radio, billboards, and TV. And I was like, I can't outspend them. So I'm going to go do this social media thing. So that's what kind of like got me on the marketing train. What keeps me in insurance, every one of my buddies who's successful that's not in insurance is like, you're only temporary in insurance. You're not staying there long term. You're going to do other things. Like, no, you don't understand the freaking opportunity there is in insurance, how average the competition is, how average a lot of the technology is, and the impact that you can make in this industry. Not to mention the residual income, the fact that, you know, when somebody dies or somebody has a house fire, you are the most important person in their life at that time because you're the one that's filing the claim for them. Yep. So there's just a lot of like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of good things. Like insurance will always be the ethos of what I do. I have other little companies that I have started, but insurance is kind of the nucleus of all that.
And a lot of people in insurance, they get satisfied and complacent, right? They're like $150K a year, made it, done. I can go play golf. And we actually have a running joke here at Glove Box where we want our people to cold call agents and say, hey, what if I could put you on the golf course an extra day a week? Is that something you might be interested in, right? That's our reach out. But for you, You seem like you're always pushing the boundaries on other things, like outside of the scope of your business, and I think that's rare. What keeps that fire lit for you? Because you could easily be complacent and content with the business that you're building.
Yeah, I like the challenge. I like trying to put this into words. I like the challenge of starting something new. I like I don't want to run a Main Street insurance agency. I want to run a big business, right. A big operation. And the thing is like when I've got a guy I know that tries to start too many different things. Yeah. And the problem is not that he's starting too many different things. It's the fact that they're so different. It's really easy. Scott used the analogy of the person in the tube with the money flying around trying to catch it the other day. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to try to say, jump on every opportunity. I think when you start other businesses, they need to be parallel to your main company. And all of my little businesses are somewhat related to insurance. So it makes it a lot easier to run it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I really don't know what it is, to be honest with you, man. I just like the come up. I like building. Yeah. You know what I mean? I like building companies. I was thinking about this last night. I was pulling the trash in from the road, and I was like, these people, these insurance agents, at some point, adding more money to your bank account is not going to impact your life.
No, it's boring after a while, which is sad.
Yeah, exactly. And or you get the money, you get that little adrenaline rush when the wire transfer comes in, but then it's like, and or not adrenaline rush, dopamine hit, whatever. And so pay yourself. This is what I do. I pay myself just enough that we need to pay the bills. Everything else goes back into the company.
Right.
What can we use that money for? Can we hire somebody? I'm dealing with this right now with a marketing company. I could have a marketing agency. I could take a little bit of a salary from the marketing company, or I could take that and I could hire somebody else, which would not only make my content better, would make my clients' content better. I don't need the extra $3,500 a month.
Right.
I can double down and make the business better. I get more satisfaction out of doing that than I do making money and, adding zeros to my check account. And, it's funny talking about the personality assessments. I did it and it said I was money motivated. And I asked the consultant, I said, I'm really not money motivated. And she said, well, if you compare that with this thing, it's actually efficiency. You value efficiency. And I was like, you are not lying, lady. I value efficiency almost more than anything. I think the part that I like about business the most is that never ending battle to figure out how can we be more efficient? How can we streamline? How can we move this thing over here so that we're more efficient here and create more time and that sort of thing? Yeah. For example, this sounds so bad, but I have a virtual assistant that refills my prescriptions and calls in. That's all she does, but she refills my prescriptions and she calls in my to-go orders at a restaurant, so I don't have to. It sounds douchey, but I'm like, I don't want to sit there on the phone for 15 minutes with freaking Walgreens pressing 2 to give them my number.
I was going to hey, Bradley, I was going to say, you and Sean align a lot on that, where you guys fit on the operations side. How can I maximize
what can we do? Where can we move some stuff around? Yeah. I was looking at so in the marketing company, we're making Instagram reels for our clients, right? Well, I found somebody. The Instagram reel takes 2 hours, so to do it the way we do it. But I also found this person over here who's a freelancer that can make them for X dollars per reel. And I'm like, I love sitting down and doing the math of, okay, I'm paying this person this much an hour times 2. That's how much it's actually calling me. Oh, even though this seems expensive, it would save me $5 per reel. We're doing 25 reels per week. That's the part that I like. Yeah. Sorry, I overshared.
You're good. I got to work alongside you on the One City World Tour, and I was kind of the guy in the process of go get things done, and you were part of the guy in the process was more hey, let's analyze how this is all going to work, and that was a good dynamic, and I kind of
would not have been able to pull it off without you.
Well, that was thank you. That wasn't
you had to take a lot of the because you were in the city that the thing happened. Yeah, you had to take let's print this and let's do this, and
But you were really analyzing how this works.
The only only thing we didn't
Thank you. I was the VA.
the only thing we didn't analyze is how far we had to walk to get tacos.
Yeah,
like,
well,
I don't
they were
ever
good
want to
for
walk that
tacos,
far
yeah.
again in the cold to get tacos.
But I'll tell you
Everything
guys,
else
like
is
something
great.
about the One City World Tour, like it's a good lesson for customer experience. Is like we probably could have stretched some things and made like 10 or 15 grand from that.
Sure.
But we decided to spend it because we wanted to give everybody a good experience. It's a good lesson in customer experience. Like I would rather those people go to that conference and be like, hey, this was like the top 3 conference we've been to, and it only cost us $200.
Yeah,
I can't believe we only charged $200
and me getting a little bit of money in my pocket.
And
you know
Tyler
what I mean?
Asher throwing us a party as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tyler Asher at SafeGo. But
hey, Scott, I've never asked you this. One City World Tour. What was your perspective on the inside looking out on how that all went? Because I never followed up with you and asked you how that went.
Oh, I thought it went great.
I mean, you were.
I thought everybody got a lot of value out of it. I thought they were entertained. I mean, just top to bottom, I thought it was a fantastic conference. I hope I got nothing but positive feedback from it. I don't know of anything we could have done any different that would have been better.
Probably brought too much heat and fire because the stadium caught on fire.
The stadium quite literally caught on fire.
How many agents that were at the One City World Tour that decided to start executing the mortgage broker referral program have quit?
Ooh.
What percentage of them
I
have
bet
quit?
there's like 2.
Urban Young.
Urban Young is definitely on
For
it.
sure.
Yep.
Are they still executing?
I would put my
Those
money
guys
on
should
them.
have been freaking speaking.
Those guys are
Come on.
awesome.
I would
I've
put my
never
money
seen
on
an
them.
agency
They're
with
great.
so much premium willing to learn so much. Like they were front and center. They couldn't get closer.
I bet Jeremy Powers is out there doing it.
You always meet these people when I go to speak at these state associations, and I'm like, why the heck are you not up here? Why am I up here? Like you should be doing this, you know?
Whoa, you were just about to push the fast forward button on this ad. I guarantee you do not want to fast forward through this ad. What's up, guys? It's the Glove Box crew here, part of the Cease and Desist podcast. Look, we had a really large agency here in Denver, Colorado, and there's one thing I hated about insurance and our business. It's service work. It is the worst. It literally takes me away from being able to sell business and grow my agency. Hiring service reps, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. You can't get them in fast enough. You can't keep them. You can't train them. It's very difficult. Stop. It's why we created Glove Box. Sean, tell them why.
Because insurance servicing sucks.
It's awful. And consumers hate to call you as well. Newsflash, you're not their friend for the most part unless you write your buddy's insurance. Otherwise, they're not your friend. So look, Glovebox is geared to reduce your service by 25 to 35%. Think about the bottom line to your agency. Less human capital, less frustrations, less headache. Let your CSRs do higher level work that makes you revenue, and get Glovebox today. Guys, I want to land this plane. All right. I want to ask you guys a couple of quick hitter questions that we ask every single guest as kind of a departure. And Scott Howell, I'm going to start with you.
Uh-oh.
Please.
Number one question, or first question that we're going to ask. Scott Howell, who are you cheering for right now? And that could be anything.
Open-ended.
Sports,
Open-ended.
people, your mini horses, who knows?
Who am I cheering for right now? I mean, the answer is going to be me and the team that I put together over here, because this, for your listening audience, some of them I probably haven't heard, but I had an employee 3 weeks ago confess to stealing $103,000 out of our agency.
Crazy.
And this has been, I'm telling you, I mean, it's hard to describe. It's one of those things, unless you're in it, you don't know. But it has been an up at dawn, pride swallowing siege for 3 weeks, and it's been all hands on deck. Yeah. And I'm cheering for them because, we're all kind of burned out right now. I mean, it's been get here early, stay late. Everybody working overtime, everybody doing more than they probably signed up for. And if I'm cheering for anybody, I'm cheering for us.
And if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, I highly recommend it. We'll post it online.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my answer.
Bradley, what about you? Who are you cheering for right now?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me the same question.
Alabama. He loves the Alabama Crimson Tide. You're a huge Alabama fan.
No, I'm not. I hate Alabama. I'm an Auburn fan.
I know that.
Right.
I know that for a fact.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I do when I speak to other states at these associations. I say we're first in football, last in everything else. But now I add to the end of that, nobody please come up here and slap me like Will Smith. It goes really well. It really hits right now. Will Smith joke. I had a speaker reach out and ask for advice. Like Will Smith jokes are landing right now.
Top dollar.
There's a couple of carriers that I have my eye on that are newish carriers that I think have the potential to hang around. There's technology companies I keep my eye on, Glovebox being one that I'm super rooting for, that I think have a really strong chance, if not inevitable, that they're going to change the insurance industry. And then aside from that, I have 2 new producers in my agency that I'm like literally losing sleep on how can I make them more successful. So
that's important. I know keep doing that.
That's kind of what I would say.
Yeah, keep focused there. I like that.
I know exactly how that goes. Question number 2, and this one we'll go back to Bradley first. Bradley, what are you listening to currently besides the Cease and Desist podcast?
I go through phases where I will listen to music for 6 to 8 weeks. Don't listen to any podcasts, and then I'll go through phases where I listen to nothing but podcasts. I've gotten to where I can't listen to insurance podcasts because I know every insurance podcaster and I have the real conversations,
Yeah.
I don't really like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have a hard time listening to Hanley, even though he's one of my favorite people, because I'm like, hey, the conversations he and I have are a lot like deeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you
listen
to when you work?
And then I'll go to YouTube videos for a little while. Right now I'm listening to music. There's a song, and it's more. I go back and forth between like really hard charging music, like AC/DC type stuff, and then I go to more like chill. But I have probably the most all over the place music appetite of any white man in Alabama you'll ever meet. I'll read you. These are the last like 10 songs I've listened to.
Oh, here we go.
We should screenshot
there
this.
We go.
Highway to Hell, AC/DC, American Pie by Don McLean, Sleep on the Floor by the Lumineers, which is an awesome freaking song, by the way. Kid Rock's new album.
Jeez.
There's a song on there called Still Something that's going to be a hit, by the way. Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac, Bob Dylan, Astronaut in the Ocean,
like that.
A-OK,
Wow.
Beeman and Timmy, who's a local rapper, and Lil Wayne. Wow. So it's like,
could you screenshot that? Will you send that to us?
Do what?
Send us that screenshot, will you, of your Spotify? Is it Spotify?
Apple Music.
Send us a screenshot of this. We should post this.
Someone's gonna do that.
Don't hate
You
on
should.
that.
It's real. I just read that. But
Screenshot.
So yeah, I listened to that. It just kind of gets me a little like it tends to be when I'm dealing with a lot at work, which I'm not dealing with anything as difficult as Scott's dealing with, but when I'm dealing with a lot at work, a lot of changes, I tend to get out of business mode and want to just chill out the music.
Yeah.
And then times where things are going great, I want to listen to podcasts and YouTube videos to double down.
Yep.
The interesting thing is I'm not reading a lot. I saw a tweet last night.
Let's reading.
The CEO of Chili's is actually freaking awesome.
I love
Twitter,
Chili's.
by the way.
Chili's is
CEO?
delicious.
Michael Girdley, and he tweeted and he said,
Tag him.
Don't read. He said, don't read business books. Don't read business books. Find a podcast that's interviewing the author, and you'll hear everything you need to know in that book in 30 minutes.
Sure.
I love that.
Save
That's
some
exactly
time.
what I'm doing. Like,
The thing they should do with Chili's is they should make the baby beers even smaller so that I can hold 4 of them instead of 2 at one time.
And you feel
That's what
better.
I love about Chili's is I can hold beers.
Would you get
together.
drunker
Right, the
faster?
idea, man.
I would not.
I love
you
going
think you
to
are.
like Outback Steakhouse on the kids eat free night. And, and I get chicken tenders and a Coke, and my kids get a steak and a kid's Bud Light. You know?
I love that. Scott, what are you listening to right now, man? I know you're busy, but
I have a very eclectic taste in music. People probably haven't heard of most of the bands and groups I listen to, but right now, I guess for the past week, I've been listening to a group called the Tuskegee Brothers.
All right.
Nobody's probably ever heard of them. I listen to a lot of West Texas stuff. Jacko Pierce.
Yep.
Ray LaMontagne.
When it comes to music, I mean,
No Drake? No Drake?
very, very eclectic music listener. I don't listen to the Kid Rocks and the AC/DCs and stuff as much as I did when I was a kid, but I do like to. I love to listen to music. The book I'm reading right now is a pickup artist book.
I've read that book.
For picking up women called The Game. Have y'all read The Game?
I have
Sean
read that.
pitched that book to me when I was 23 coming out of college because it's so relatable to business.
It's awesome.
It is. The reason I started reading it was not to pick up women. I'm happily married, but the FBI, that's required listening from the FBI. It teaches
It's psychology.
FBI agents how to get things out of people.
Yeah.
And I started reading it, I guess, about 2 weeks ago. It's a great book. It's a little bit, as a male, when you listen to it and you're a little older, it's like, damn, guys are such pigs.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some great things in there, great little nuggets that you could use psychologically when you deal with clients and when you deal with angry clients and
referral partners as well when you're at networking events and things like that. There is applicable skills.
Quickly build rapport, those kinds of things.
That's vital.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
Scott, you'll like this. I literally just before this podcast was talking to one of our sales gurus, and I was using, I don't know if you're into the part of this book yet, but it was like take control over their world, tell them about their world, and tell them like you know it. And I was telling her to talk about their agency because you were on their website. You know exactly what their client experience feels like. And it was from that book. I didn't reference it, but that's where I got it from.
Smart.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
Do you have any idea how many people reach out to me on LinkedIn trying to pitch me their product for my agency? And I'm like, I know you didn't research me. And I don't mean that douchey.
Well,
I know you didn't do any research whatsoever because you wouldn't be asking about my agency. You'd be asking to come on the podcast.
The first indication of that is it says, "Hey, Charles." So that's how you know they don't even know.
I have the little,
yeah, exactly.
The three-finger love
so you know
thing
it pops
appeal.
up and it's
The reason I
automated.
did
We
that
talked
is
about
because
that.
you know exactly who's sending the automated messages.
Sean and I talked about that the other day. That's exactly. Hey, Scott, you did fail the question, by the way. What are you listening to? The answer was Kim Howell. So you
buying more baby
that's a given.
You blew it.
Yeah.
That's a given. All right. Question number 3. What are you investing in? Scott, we'll start with you. What are you investing in right now besides a bunch of time in the agency?
Last thing I invested in was I just did it the other day too. I use SoFi for my investment accounts. So I typically just invest in things. I'll tell you, I invested in DraftKings about a month ago.
Nice.
I think that DraftKings is probably going to be the of all of them. There's a lot of online gambling places out there, but I do feel like they've got the best chance of being successful. I've invested quite a bit of money in gold. I put about $5,000 in gold about 6 months ago because I knew that, the Russia thing is getting started and we had a lot of issues going on and COVID was still going on. And I thought, and it's gone up a lot. I think I've probably made 25-30% on that so far.
Nice.
I sold all the oil I had a couple of weeks ago, which was not much, maybe $1,000. But there was one I invested in a couple of days ago, and now I can't remember which one it is. Canopy Growth, I'm in that pretty heavy, which is one of the marijuana growing,
Makes sense. I mean, it's going to be nationally, federally.
A company called Apple, if you've heard of them.
now.
You guys don't know anything about that in Denver, do you?
I'm going to go smoke tonight for sure.
No, we've moved on to mushrooms. So that's the weed game has passed.
That's
now
old
it's,
news,
now
Bradley.
it's mushrooms.
That's 12 years ago.
They're legalizing heroin.
So-
I thought they shot down the law legalizing mushrooms.
It's decriminalized, which is a very loose term.
It's a gateway law.
It means you can have it, but you can't buy it. So it's kind of the middle ground there. So I'm on the hunt for, and I ask this on every show, I'm on the hunt for a Dogecoin millionaire. So if you guys find anybody who invested in Doge that crushed it, I want to meet them. So just heads up. But Bradley, what are you investing in right now?
InsurTechs.
Nice.
It's a good place.
My very, very small amount of money. I've made a couple plays in some InsurTechs. I've got one right now that is bootstrapped. It's a great product that nobody knows about. And my pitch is unselfish. My pitch to this person was, hey, you need to slice off like 10% of equity for a board of directors, and I'll create the board of directors. We'll put together the best group of people we can possibly get to help promote this thing and blow it up, stuff like that. And and then, helping get these, I feel like I have a unique position with some of these insurtechs to help plug them in with certain agencies and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So from like an advisory standpoint, that sort of thing. And then I'm also investing in my agency and the people in my agency. That's really big. And to be honest with you, like, I know this is like taboo in 2022, but like I'm doing some stuff to the office and making the office really, really cool. Because I'm just a guy that like needs an office, Yeah. And we want to have some like lunch and learns and networking events at our office that, for recruiting, I want to bring young professionals to here. They see the office and they're like, wow, this is way better than the cubicles I'm working in now, So we're planning a grand opening event now. We're doing a bunch of stuff to the office. We've got, we're going to have NFTs. Everybody that comes to the grand opening is going to get an NFT ticket. There's going to be some utility to that. We're going to have a DJ on the ones and twos at the party. So it's going to be like really cool thing. So just investing in the office and that sort of thing is kind of this kind of my baby right now.
Well, you need to invest in some fucking headphones because what the hell is going on there?
I like these better. Man,
jeez,
I have
Andy's
but I like the AirPods.
All right,
AirPods better.
Had to do it.
Mainly because normally I'm wearing my hat and they don't go with the hat.
You got a spaceman hat.
Get over it.
You have a spaceman hat coming your way in the next couple weeks.
I need a spaceman hat. I need another one of those black hoodies too.
On the way,
guys.
By the way,
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you both. And I'm speaking not just from Glovebox and the people in this room, but the entire insurance industry.
Yeah. Cheers.
We love you guys. What you guys bring to the community is amazing. You get it. You hear that all the time, I'm sure, but it's really true. And Scott, we appreciate you coming on, man, with everything you're dealing with the agency and the diarrhea and all that. So it's, but
let me just say this.
Never ends.
The first time you guys called me, I don't remember which one it was.
It was me.
I don't know if you remember. It was like,
I remember.
I'm not really interested. Like I wasn't rude, but it was just, you know what I'm saying?
I know. I remember the phone call. I was in the parking lot.
And then y'all came back. You followed up.
I was in the parking lot of our agency. It was early 2019. I remember.
You pitched it again, and we followed up. We talked again, and I called Scott, and I was like, "These guys are going to change the industry." Like I remember saying that, and you guys have been one of the best partnerships we've had. Like there's not a better company out there for what you guys are doing, and we're just really happy to ride on your coattails.
Hey man,
no, we appreciate.
I want to come out there and visit you guys and just hang out. You don't get to hang out as much when you're doing these conferences and stuff. Everybody's going in different directions.
You guys are going to be in Memphis, right?
Yeah, we'll be out there.
Memphis,
I'll be in
Tennessee.
Memphis. I'm going to be in Memphis for 2 hours, but I'll be there.
But Scott,
you can Memphis.
PIA of Arkansas.
Scott, you come out to the office here in Denver. We'll kick Sean out of his office immediately.
No problem.
You've got a desk.
You don't even have to kick me out.
So
I'll exit
I
gracefully.
will gladly do so.
Well, hey guys, thank you so much for the time. Again, we appreciate you guys so much. We're happy to call you friends, and thank you so much for all the support. And we look forward to seeing you guys again, and keep crushing the podcast because Jesus, 500,000 downloads. That is not an easy feat. 500,000. Here's the cheers to 1 million. And again, keep crushing it, guys. Thank you so much.
Good work, dudes.
Have a lovely day.